Guitar Collector Guy presents the Fender Squier FSR Classic Vibe 60s Thinline. If you like this video, click like, subscribe, and notify. A few times recently I've seen the Fender Squier FSR Classic Vibe 60s Thinline Telecaster in Sonic Blue on eBay and Reverb. It's a very distinctive looking because of the light blue body and has this kind of cool looking aged vintage gloss neck. And although I don't normally like gold tinted things, the anodized aluminum gold tinted pickguard kind of really is set off by the color of the body, so it somehow works. A note: the FSR stands for Fender Special Run. I tried to see if this was originally produced for a specific seller, but I've actually seen it sold by a whole myriad of different companies that you would normally see, like Guitar Center and so on, who make request a Fender for special runs. So I think that it was actually something that was generated by Fender themselves. I tried to do research on this to see if I could find like a quantity of how many of these were made, and I wasn't able to locate that either. I was never really interested in buying one of these for the suggested retail of $449. You can get them used for maybe in the high 300s. So I was perusing kind of eBay. I saw an auction for a used loaded body that was in really great condition, and I put it on my watch list. The highest bid at the time was $129, and there were only a few hours left to go on the auction. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and try to get it, but I set kind of a top end that I really didn't want to pay more than like $175 for it. If I could get it for around this amount, and all I needed to do was buy a Squier tele neck, I could end up owning one of this model of guitar for under $300, which would be a pretty reasonable amount to me. I ended up winning the auction for only $159. I was really surprised nobody bid over me, but I was really happy that I got it. I then went online and I found a used Squier Neck with the same vintage gloss finish for around $129. Not bad. I was able to pick up, basically, when you put it all together, a version of this guitar that's in pretty much like new condition for under $300. So I was pleased. I was looking this morning online and I saw basically used versions of this guitar in the same condition that were like $359 to $399. The guitar itself is basically of the Thinline series of Telecasters. It's a semi-hollow version of the Fender Telecaster with Fender design Alnico single coil pickups, a vintage style string through body bridge, and a vintage style tuning machines with nickel plated hardware. The body is made of something that I had not ever heard of before. It's spelled Nyatoh, but I've seen online that it's actually pronounced NATO. I did some research and I found the following. NATO is a reddish hardwood that grows in the rainforests of Southeast Asia. It's also known as NATO or Eastern mahogany. It's a medium density hardwood that's a good choice for the bodies and is used in lower cost guitars. NATO has a straight interlock grain with a subtle texture, and its attributes and the reason why manufacturers like it is easy to work with because it stains and polishes well and looks great as an end product. The specifications from Fender on this guitar is the body finish is gloss, the neck is made out of maple, it's a bolt-on neck just like pretty much all Fenders. Scale length is 25.5 inches. Fret size, narrow tall, number of frets 21, and inlays dot. Has nut material as bone, which just totally blows me away that Squier guitars come out with bone nuts on them. I mean, just anything in this price range coming with a bone nut is just amazing to me. Normally, I'm surprised because even some of the low-end USA-made Fenders are coming out with synthetic bone. Pros of this guitar: I think it's attractive. It definitely is. It stands out. I have 6 guitars hanging on the wall behind me right now, and just compared to the other guitars hanging on the wall, it's one of the guitars that really draws your eyes, to it right out of the gate. It's very lightweight. When I put it on the scale, it measured out at 5 pounds, about 13 to 14 ounces overall, which is a really, really lightweight guitar, especially for a Telecaster. And it's easy to play. I looked around in a lot of the forums and did searches, and the only thing that I could find negative about this guitar is I actually found a couple people saying that the frets sprout. I probably won't have this problem because the neck that I put on this came from a Classic Vibe 50s Telecaster. I don't know if it's exactly the same, and I don't know if they have the same problem. I have 3 Classic Vibe 50s Telecasters, and I've not had any problems with the frets. At first, when I plugged the guitar in, I did not like the sound of the pickups. I was actually worried that one of the first times I was actually going to have to say that, you know, this guitar, the pickups are bad right out of the box. It could also be, who knows, maybe that's why the person was selling it. I don't really have anything to compare it to the same model. I will say that after playing around with the settings on my amp, and I was using a Princeton 65 Reverb as my amp. It's now kind of my favorite amp for recording the chord stuff that I do here on the channel, to just give an example of how the guitar sounds. But I was finally able to get a pretty good sound. Thank you for watching Guitar Collector Guy. Really appreciate you being here. Hope you come back and watch more. If you like this video, click like, subscribe, and notify.